one of the ways you can bring light into the world is by listening to people. And the extraordinary nature of actually being listened to may be something that people have very rarely experienced in their life. And so that is a form of grace or gift. It's a gift that you give to people that creates space in their life. And even your pre-enlightenment consciousness may have possibly been wise, and from that data set you might be encouraged or out of love want to help. And it's that even that kind advice is not the same as listening. The space available, the space created in a person when they're listened to for the first time is possibly the most magnificent opening that you could give. Better than money, better than time, better than any advice you might have, is just the simple, kind act of listening and being in their space, being in their energy field. There's possibly a difference between joining their story and listening. Listening has a value that will dissolve because they're trying, when someone speaks, they're either trying to get you to agree with them, which will reinforce their story, or possibly they're trying to get you to disagree with them, which will reinforce their story almost equally. But by the grace of listening to their story, they might be able to hear their story for the first time. You might create a clearing in their consciousness for them to actually hear that they have a story, and that their story is what's keeping them in a mind set. And by being a mirror that's not repeating their story back to them, or positively or negatively, but just listening without agreement or disagreement, that might be a sort of grace that there's no one conscious enough to give to them. No one has the grace of being that listening space. And so people, honestly, the mind really has no space for advice. It has no space for listening. And so if you can be that grace, you might be the first one that's ever been in their life that's actually listened. If you think about what is it about being in the present moment that's different about being mind identified. And it's the ability to listen to your own mind while you think. It's the awareness that your mind has a position and that your mind is justifying its position to itself, and it's negating the position of others, and it's glorifying its purpose in the world. And it's in a win game. It's in a game of pointing out the factors that prove why it's winning and why its spouse or its children or its parents are wrong. And so if you become a listening and reflect back what the mind of another is saying, that mirror might be the first time they observe their own story about why they're right and the situation that they're arguing or feeling or promoting is in their mind wrong, and that they need to persuade the world to see their position. Their sales pitch to you is their justification for the position they've taken, and they're trying it out on you. How does it fit? Like putting on a suit or a dress. And do you agree with them? Is their position correct? Are they right? Are they proper? Are they going to win? Is the other person wrong? They're looking for justification for their mind manufactured position. And by not agreeing or disagreeing and only reflecting, they're seeing someone else look at their story. They're watching your eyes. And when you don't agree or disagree, they see their story, possibly for the first time, which is different when they tell that story to themselves. They are agreeing. They're their biggest advocate. They're patting themselves on the back. They're doing victory laps. Almost imagine a best friend in high school who listens and agrees with every word and adds to the fire, throws a log on, and what about this, and what about that? And so that's people who agree with their story, and that's who they are when they listen to their story. And they're good friends that actually listen to the story and agree with them. That's agreeing with their story. But then they pitch that story to the party that they're against. They'll calm it down a little, but and that party sees it from their side. They disagree with them. And so their mind has lived in a world where there's agreement and disagreement. But they've never looked into their own eyes and heard the sales job about why they're a victim and how things need to change. And by being a mirror to that, they get to possibly, for the first time in their life, see what it feels like to see whether they're honest, not in a lying sense, but in an exaggeration sense. And it gives them the worldview of their story. How is their story actually perceived by others? And given that they actually have all the data, and they're not a best friend who's listening and doesn't know all the data. They only hear the data that they're given. They know the other side of the story, and so it gives them the opportunity to be their own judge and jury and see their own mind, how their mind acts, and see that sales job that that they put together. And if they're aware, and this might be the first time in their life they have had the chance to be aware, where they actually have someone who's being a mirror, they might begin to see that there's actually what is, and then there's what you feel about what is, and that what is a set of facts that one party could feel one way about and another could feel the other way about, and that nothing's really added by the drama of the opposing emotions about the same set of facts. Certainly nothing constructive in the general sense. And so it opens a door for them to see the facts and the emotions that their positions they're taking. And the story is a mind function, not the facts of the story, but how you feel about the story, and how you're demonizing other people and making yourself the white knight. And so if you can see the mind in your life, aren't those crickets wonderful? If you can see that you have a mind, and you can begin to be your own mirror, to understand that your mind is running a game. It's running a game on you called I win, everyone else loses. And there's no joy in that. When everyone else loses and you're right, it's a very lonely place to be. And a more interesting place to be is to just simply have the awareness that you can be in the present moment, and you can be a fact-gathering, perceptive being whose job it is to love yourself and love those around you, and to let all of those feelings come and go, and realize that really they add nothing but drama to your life. Your life does not have to be about drama. It can just be about being in the present moment, loving everything around you, and dealing with real problems if they ever do come up, or when they do come up, and not manufacturing a set of reasons why they're wrong and you're right, and being upset about those reasons. And so being a mirror to someone might be the first time in their life where they've ever seen that. So, anyway, thanks for listening. Have a great evening.